Today, I want to talk about a subject that I found profoundly interesting for quite some time. Sometimes we hear a lot of internet phenomenon that piques our interest. Most of the time, these are morbid topics. Banned media, creepypasta, analog horror, and a lot of other topics that delve into darker territories seem to gain a lot of popularity. One of these instances is the fabled anime Saki Sanobashi. Saki Sanobashi is an anime rumored to have existed on the dark web a few years back, first being talked about on the image board website 4chan. This is where an anonymous user of the site replied to a post that asked other users to detail what was the most disturbing thing they found on the internet. The user had detailed a 30-minute anime that was 80ish in quality and consists of naked anime girls being trapped in a bathroom, having a philosophical debate about never escaping. After some time, the girls starve and go ballistic. They all commit suicide, and those who couldn't requested the others to help them do so. Some solid details include that OP had seen this anime in 2011, and that the anime was on the deep web, particularly on a site that had the same layout as the Bing Previewer from 2015, and that the title used Japanese characters, as well as there being no music. The characters in the anime film had little far apart eyes, and most had bushy brown hair. Notably, one had a hime cut and almost white hair, and that another girl's scream sounded echoey and made OP dizzy. Other than that, there was no further information. No credits, just a simple, awkward title, Go for a Punch. Hang on, where did the name Saki Sanobashi come from if the post originally stated that the name was Go for a Punch? Well, the name's origin stems from a Twitter post by user Fabianski, or Eva Slayer, who went on to Twitter to find an anime of a similar description, stating, "Can one of you guys help me? I've been looking for a specific manga, but I don't remember the name of it. It's about 3 high school students who get trapped in a room and talk about their lives and stuff. I remember they all end up eventually
killing themselves,
with one of them helping one of the girls drown herself, and the others banging her head on the concrete. I can't find any information about this, but I know it's real. Anyone?" He later posted another tweet saying, "Okay, so 2 things. It might have another name called Saki Sanobashi, and may be loosely based off another manga called Dragonhead, but according to sources, this had an 80s anime aesthetic to it. Maybe Dragonhead is loosely based off of it?" He afterwards posted one last tweet where he expressed shock and attached a YouTube link to a now removed to YouTube video. According to the Reddit post by user Hacharma, who serves as a big source of information for this topic, Fabianski elaborated that this video was merely manga scans that were quote-unquote amateurish but gruesome. On another 4chan post calling attention to the mystery, an anonymous user said that they had believed the name to be Saki Sanobashi. This is actually the first instance where the name Saki Sanobashi came from that we know of. Many have interpreted the name in several ways, with some speculating that the 3rd Japanese alphabet, kanji, was used in the title. An anonymous user stated that the name could easily be confused with Saki Sanobashi, which translated meant Saki's room. Some theorized that this was the actual title for the anime. Another interpretation of the name connected to an author from the 19th century who went by the pen name Saki. This author, real name Hector Hugh Munro, was well known for his witty and sometimes macabre stories that encapsulates the bizarre nature of the Edwardian era in England. This connection is most likely unrelated to the mystery of Saki Sanobashi, as none of Munro's works had been adapted to an anime film. Saki Sanobashi realistically only served as a placeholder name, however, as there was no mention of it whatsoever in the original post, and it was recommended to other users that the name should not be used in the efforts of finding the anime. Moving forward, there have been search efforts around adult film sites for the lost anime, as well as searching through catalogs of adult-rated anime, particularly on sites that are natively Japanese, as many users believe that the anime had to have been adult-rated, or at least was posted on one of these sites due to obscure anime typically making an appearance on these sites and the anime's explicit details, although there has been no luck in doing so. More related on this type of topic later. In later updates regarding the search itself, some questioned whether or not Fabianski mistakenly described what he thought was Saki Sanobashi was actually brain damage by Shintaro Kago, in which the manga features a bunch of girls with the same haircut all trapped together in several rooms. In this manga scan, It shows a bunch of dead girls, which seemingly matches the description of OP's original description, although the two biggest differences that makes it known that this can't be the original material OP referenced is the fact that the girls are all clothed, and that this is simply a manga scan. Beyond that, there's not much else that came about this whole investigation for Saki Sanobashi, and many leads have proven to simply either be red herrings or false. As of today, Saki Sanobashi remains to be an anomaly of the internet, with many mangas and anime bearing a strong resemblance to the description of Saki Sanobashi, and yet it remains hidden amongst the surface of the web. This clearly wasn't the first disturbing anime any of us had heard of or seen. Unlike American cartoons, anime is accustomed to Japanese standards, where cartoons targeted towards audiences aged 12 to 17 can be a little explicit at times. Looking at more mature anime for ages 17 and older, it gets more explicit, showing upfront nudity as well as dipping toes into serious subject matters that can be considered taboo, things you don't see in everyday television. Around the early 2000s, taboo anime was definitely prevalent around the internet in its infancy, being shared across online forums. A good example of a taboo anime that's well known across the internet is Shuzo Tsubaki. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I can only advise you to look it up at your own risk, as the best I could describe it as is the most not safe for life anime ever. It centers around an incredibly innocent little girl named Hanamura Midori, the Camellia Girl. This anime, however, has very little to do with camellia flowers. She is led by a strange Mr. Arashi, the boss of the Amazing Freak Show, into his circus, and the anime goes on to demonstrate themes of sexual assault, nudity, and violence towards animals. Shuzo Tsubaki is an anime that is classified as Ero Guro, a genre of art that is highly inspired by the Ero Guro nansenu movement, a philosophical movement based entirely on erotic grotesqueness. To elaborate further, Ero Guro is a combination of English words erotic and grotesque. Ero Guro nansenu was popularized in 1920s to 1930s Japan, and a notable contribution for its growth was in 1936 when prostitute Abe Sada murdered her lover by strangling him to death during intercourse. Not only that, she carried around his privates long after the murder. The incident sparked massive media coverage, largely due to the bizarre nature of the incident, and even started a panic amongst the nation called the Abe Sada Panic. This proved to be a huge inspiration for artists and writers to expand further in the Ero Guro genre, and the themes of erotica and gore were interpreted by philosophers, novelists, filmmakers, and others alike. The essence of Ero Guro is pairing dark erotic fantasies with disgusting things like gore or mutilation. It plays deeply into sensationalism, as the one thing that makes Ero Guro so attractive is the morbid nature behind it. This sort of sensationalism applied to Saki Sanobashi, as it seemed to have dealt with themes of psychological torture and suicide, while having the characters featured to be naked young girls. Saki Sanobashi's description itself was deeply disturbing, and, in my opinion, I believe that it could fit in this genre of anime, although others suggest otherwise, as there were no mentions of any sexual themes presented in the description of Saki Sanobashi. Personally, I don't see a whole lot of Ero Guro anime, as I am easily disgusted by mutilation and body horror, which is something Ero Guro anime contains a lot of. But I could definitely say that the description of Saki Sanobashi left me with a weirdly nostalgic feeling, as if I had heard of something similar to it before. It was just weird. I feel like at some point in my life, especially my time on the internet, I had seen a disturbing anime that could very well be my own personal Saki Sanobashi. It's just strange for some that this was something they felt they had seen before. Saki Sanobashi was, or is, depending on who you ask, classified as lost media, and many have gone through lengths of explaining why the anime is so difficult to find. Some have found an obscure low-budget 80s film, Lady in the Sea of Blood. This film displays a woman who is brushing her teeth, who proceeds to bleed out of her mouth, and eventually, after bleeding to the extent of there now being a pool of blood on her bathroom floor, she rolls around naked, greatly amused. This film is honestly not as grotesque as it sounds, as The film literally ends with the filmmaker squeezing a fake bottle of blood on the lady on camera to spell out the end or something like that. This film is obviously not Saki Sanobashi, but bears a large resemblance to it by the sheer fact that it contains a naked woman with lots of blood in a bathroom. Another reason that has to do with the difficulty of finding it would be the fact that OP declared it to be an anime from the dark web. The fact that it was alleged to have come out of the dark web is a bit of a red flag, next to OP crying himself to sleep. There could be a reason why the anime could be on the dark web. One being that the anime was proven to be too explicit for the clear web, it was deleted by authorities. Now, this would be unlikely, as the real reason why it wouldn't be on the clear web would be due to copyright restrictions. And if we truly had no means of tracking down the animation or publishing studio, then there would be no one to claim the material. There's been way worse stuff that I've seen on the clear web than an anime featuring naked girls in a psychological dilemma. But also, Ero Guro Anime is kind of rare to come by, as it's not exactly publicized in mainstream media. A lot of the time, we can find censored versions of older Ero Guro Anime, but you would have to purchase the home release to get the uncut version of the anime. The only possible way the anime could be too explicit for the clear web would be that it contains some sort of material that deems it illegal for the user to obtain. An example of this would be Sad Satan, which contained material that made the game illegal to contain. But there was no mention of any illegal material used in Saki Sanobashi, so this makes it more unlikely that it would be found exclusive to the dark web. Nonetheless, it was desirable for lost media hunters, which contributed to the popularity of it. Another reason that made this anime so desirable to find was the aforementioned nostalgia people have felt from it. Upon searching for others' experiences with older Ero Guro anime, I found a Reddit post that detailed a user's dream of an Ero Guro anime they've seen in their dream. I feel like it parallels well with Saki Sanobashi and honestly provides me with my own belief that OP could have simply dreamt about Saki Sanobashi and may have misremembered it as a real event. The post reads as follows: I was having one of those I am asleep but I think I am awake dreams. After waking up and telling my family my dream, I go to the living room and start watching this extremely gory 80s anime film/OVA with my dad. It is not too far-fetched for us to watch old anime together. The anime is called Blood Prison and is told from the perspective of this girl who wakes up naked in a dark mechanical institution that is called the Blood Prison. She has an IV bag connected through her arm, but is otherwise left on the floor. It is soon revealed that she was put there by her boyfriend after he found out that she has been cheating on him. It is then shown that the boyfriend is a sadistic individual that thrives on holding power above others. He is the mastermind behind what he calls the Blood Prison, where he keeps bunches of people and tortures them both physically and mentally. He details with vivid detail his various forms of torture, which include ejecting people into pools of molten lava where he watches them melt and disintegrate, forcing groups of individuals hooked up to computers to follow specific commands in a timely manner or else face punishment, manipulating the minds of people kept in airtight pill-shaped confinements by sending them induced hallucinations based around their fears, anxieties, or memories. There must have been others as well, but these were the ones I can recall most vividly. Throughout the dream, I felt a strong sense of discomfort and vulnerability, despite the fact that I was not a specific character in the narrative and was only watching from my TV. Of course, this anime is obviously a dream, which separates this account from Saki Sanobashi. And while the description this OP provided doesn't necessarily classify this conceptualized anime to be Ero Guro, it's most certainly a very vivid description. Regardless, on December 22nd, 2019, a user by the name of Saki Sanobashi OP confessed to having made up the anime. Showing deep remorse, he had explained that he made the story up to entertain himself, as the user who had asked other users to detail their experiences from the deep web seemed naive enough to believe such a story. Now, there's no definite way of proving that this is really the original author of the post. Hell, I don't even think it is the OP, but I do believe that Saki Sanobashi unfortunately, is a hoax. Nowadays, you'll find the Saki Sanobashi subreddit to be in a bit of disarray, mostly either consisting of those who are in denial that the anime is a hoax, and mostly shitposts that either mock the search or are just there.
Molly's, perks, lean, pour me up.
There's some pretty cool fan art though, which is something I appreciate. There's been mentions of efforts being made to create a mock-up anime of Saki Sanobashi, although it's very likely there's been little to no progress made, as the idea was brought up years ago. It did sound really cool. Saki Sanobashi was a revelating time for lots of lost media and anime enthusiasts, having brought together the two communities to travel across the web beyond our own language barriers. While the treasure was never found, the real, well, you already know. As far as it goes, Saki Sanobashi is agreed upon the majority public to be fake, but it is still an interesting phenomenon to study in retrospect to see how large the hunt got. And maybe, just maybe, we'll one day see someone come up with a very faithful adaptation of the fabled anime that we all wish to see. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.